Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Server Play. This is Scoots42, and we are back once again on the Direwolf 1.12.2 server. The new base is coming right along. I wanted to, though, basically I'm going to make myself a tool that is going to light things up for me simply by walking around with it in my hand. Those of you that have seen my previous playthroughs, this shouldn't be anything new. Oh, I forgot to leave that off. That's alright. We'll just get a couple more pieces of manual in here. You can make this out of anything. I'm just going to go ahead and make it out of manual. Here we go. And what else do we want to make it out of? We've got quite a bit of options. Let's see. I guess let's just make one of my regular guys. Oh, I've already got a silver wide guard. Outstanding. And let's get a little bit of bone here, I think. And let's see if we can make some of this stuff. Here I'm going to need a tool rod. That should give me that. Nice. And I'm just going to go ahead and make this into a sword. Let's see, where did I... There they are. I'm going to want my sword blade pattern. Here we go. And I'm not going to make this super fancy. Basically, I'm making this for the sole purpose of being able to light something up. So, like, basically, most of my other tools that I already have, you may have noticed I've got them decorating my little base here. I've used basically all the modifiers on these already, so I would like a fresh tool. So let's see, here's our sword, nice. And so we should be able to come right over here to the tool forge and get ourselves a new sword. And from what I understand, you should be able to do what I'm about to do to any tinker tool you want, but I think it'll become pretty clear why I'm going to go ahead and make this particular one out of a sword. So let's see, what do we want to call this one? I think I'll just call this one the light. Because basically what I'm going to want to do, let's see if I've got my Akashic Tome here. And I'll leave my materials and U-book out of there, thank you. And I want to do a modifier, and what I want to put on here is glowing. So we'll need 2 pieces of glowstone dust and an Eye of Ender, both of which should be pretty simple for us to get. There's an eye, and we'll need a couple pieces of glowstone dust. There we go. And right here in the tool forge, I'm just going to go ahead and add these. I don't believe it matters where I put them. But you can see here how it's got a little bit of a graphic there indicating that it glows. And basically what this is going to do is put down a little light source anywhere where there is not enough light, basically. And I think one of the other things I should probably do is let's throw some quartz on here. Because I do want this to be somewhat of an actual weapon. And again, I think you'll see why here in just a moment. And I'm just going to sharpen this up as much as it'll go. I think I've already... That's not bad. That's not bad at all, really. I'll take it. I think that'll work for now. So let's put some of this stuff up. And you can see I've got lots of different building materials in here. And that's because we did successfully make more than enough granite. And I've got the basic, what I would call phase 1. And I've left this kind of naked for now. These are from Block Craftery, framed stairs. And I think what I'm going to end up doing, and I can show you real quick, hopefully I've still got the capped pillars here. I thought it would be neat if I had these stairs here made out of the marble pillar. And there's no real way to make the stairs directly out of this material. And in fact, the only marble stairs I could find at all are actually from Astral Sorcery, and you need the Astral Sorcery table to be able to make them. But you can see, and let's take a look at the recipe for the Block Craftery stairs here. Here they are right here. The frame stairs is what I used. And it's just basically the framed blocks here in what I would call a reverse stair pattern. As most of you know, the stair pattern normally goes the other way. And these are real simple to make, just 4 sticks or any kind of cane, really, river cane, bamboo. So I don't think sugar cane will work. But bamboo or river cane, if you've got access to that, regular sticks also work just as well. And then once you've got them crafted, you just basically pop your block that you want the texture from on top of them. You just simply right-click on it, and it adds that texture to the block. And I think that's going to be pretty neat. And I've been using my wrench. I don't know why that looks a little weird to me. I think it's just because of how they have the texture here. There's nothing there on the bottom. So I'm just kind of playing around with different orientations, and I'm kind of hoping I'll be able to come back. I've got a little bit of an idea with some chisel and bits, a little bit of chisel and bit work. And I don't know if I'm going to keep these under here, because I kind of have a plan about how I want to bring out this particular pillar here. But anyway, let me show you what's going on in here. Oh, and by the way, I did set up a little dialing device and matter transmitter and receiver over here. These are actual covers that I'm using to cover up the wiring. But basically what I've done is create a giant mob spawner. I am working on getting this lit up, and I've got some pretty neat ideas. And you can see this little bit of a glow ball here. That's from the sword I just used. Now, you can see this place is a giant mob spawn, and I am working on getting it lit up. You know, I've got a pretty, what I think is going to be a nice little pattern here, which is completely lighting everything up. And I've also added some decorative lighting things to just kind of try to light the ceiling up, and I've got an idea about, you know, how to provide light for the ceilings. This is glowing glass, which I plan on having at roughly these intervals all the way around the upside of the ring or the ceiling. But in the meantime, so I'm not constantly having to battle these mobs, I think the easiest thing to do is basically just to run in a circle here with this sword in my hand. And you can see where I've kind of been testing out different things. I've got a little bit of glowstone down in this area, which I'll probably end up changing this because I've got a different idea now, and this is something I did pretty quick while I was actually building the structure so they wouldn't fall down on top of me, because basically right outside down there in that direction is where the actual builder is. And this is, you know, some of the decoration ideas I've been kind of toying around with. But basically, this took a while, you know, to get all these walls set up. You can see this is definitely why I wanted the sword. Because there's quite a few mobs now. My armor is, like, super fantastic, and it's really been helping me. You can see these guys aren't really doing much damage to me. But what they really are is just annoying. You know, so I wanted to run and just kind of try to get this lit up real quick. And I think the quickest, easiest way to do this is what I'm doing, where I attach that glowing modifier to the sword. So I've got a kind of a weapon, and I mean, you can see how intense this is. I mean, if I did not have this wyvern armor, I think I'd probably easily be dead by now. And it's even protecting me against the witch here, believe it or not. The stuff that she's tossing at me. I'm assuming it's just she. I mean, I could be wrong. I guess guys can be witches too. But basically, I thought the simplest thing to do would be to just attach that glowing modifier to the sword as I'm running and battling these guys. It's also laying down... Oh, that's interesting. That must have been right on the top. Cool. So I've almost got this lit up now just from running around. And I do have... like, I'll have to make a couple of passes, really. Mainly because there's areas up here now that aren't lit up. So again, you know, it's going to be another case of I'm just going to have to keep running in circles. And this one, this run here, I think, is going to be a little more difficult to keep in a straight line. But hopefully, as a result of this, it'll keep more mobs from spawning, so I can finish, you know, basically doing the interior. And I don't know if you guys noticed, when I came in up that staircase, it did, as I was predicting, gave me more than enough room to do a split level in here, which I think is going to be really cool. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I do have a plan for the center, which is basically what I'm going to call phase 2 of the build. I am kind of going for a almost a space station kind of a deal, where this would be what I would consider the gravitational ring. That's kind of my... I mean, now obviously this isn't going to generate any kind of artificial gravity. Of course not, but, you know, Minecraft is largely a game of imagination, so in my imagination at least, I'm going to pretend that this is some kind of a space station with an artificial gravity ring. And then on the inside is where I'm probably going to have the actual working base. Now, I mean, I'll obviously have some stuff out here, but I'm thinking, you know, this is, you know, largely going to be like a ceremonial, decorative place to, you know, put things that I want to decorate with, basically. You know, I want to have like pictures and, you know, maybe sculpture type things, you know, things that look like machines but don't actually have any real purpose. I just think that'll be kind of fun. So I'm hoping that doing something like this, I may have to make one more run around the upper part of this ring. But by and large, I'm thinking, you know, 3 or 4 runs on the outside and then 3 or 4 runs on the inside is going to help get this all lit up. And I mean, this is easy. I mean, I'm not having to stop and you know, put a torch here, put a torch there. You know, I'm not having to do any of that. So let's see, maybe I need to come down a little bit further here. But this is basically my plan for now. Now, of course, I'm going to, you know, it'll take me a little bit of time to remove all of this stuff once I've got the actual phase 1 completed, you know, with all the planned lighting, I should say. This is just something I'm doing kind of off the cuff. And I strongly recommend that if you guys are doing a gigantic build like this, that you do something similar. Especially if you haven't gotten your armor, you know, up to this level. Let's see, I need a little something here, I think. I think my armor is actually protecting me against hunger, which is pretty cool. Oh, there we go. I think it might not be a bad idea to put some of this junk away. Nice. There we go. And I mean, it seems to me that my laps around here are already getting easier, which is cool. I'll probably have to do one more around here on the upper side of this, just below this platform. I plan on building this platform all the way around. You know, I'll probably try to get that done before the next episode. Now this, I mean, I gotta tell you guys, you know, these mega builds are incredibly time consuming. You know, I think a lot of times in these videos that we put out, I think it skews how much time we actually put into this, because, you know, it's going to look like, you know, in the course of the next episode, I'm going to have all of this done, and you guys are going to see a more completed phase 1, basically, and in no way should that reflect how much time that we actually put into this. This actually takes quite a bit of time. And generally, you know, about 24 hours goes between this episode and the next, you know, respectively, of course. But it actually takes a lot more time than that, you know, to get all these things done. I mean, I basically stood by my builder chiseling blocks to get this. And that it took a lot longer than a day, which is why a lot of us have backlogs. You know, I've got several episodes recorded in advance. Did that get it? Yes. All right, so I think I'm ready to come up here, hopefully, to what will be the last little bit. Yeah, this should basically be the last, hopefully. Is that... There we go. So this is definitely just lighting up. Basically, half of this has already made a huge difference in the number of mobs. And to be completely honest, I don't know that I'm going to go around and remove all of these little Tinker's glow balls, simply because they're, you know, so tiny and not really noticeable unless you're looking for them. Are we almost there? I'm going to do one more lap around here just to catch little stuff like this. And then we'll run around and do the other side. Normally, I wouldn't actually record something quite like this, but I think it's important for you guys to see, you know, how long this actually takes. You know, so keep that in mind when you're planning on doing these projects. I'm in no way trying to discourage you from attempting these projects. I mean, obviously, I'm doing them, and a lot of other YouTubers that you see take on these massive projects as well. And I think it's a good thing, but I do think it's important to note how much time is actually required. You know, so, you know, maybe, and again, I'm not really trying to discourage anybody from doing this, but if you're the kind of player that, you know, maybe you only have, you know, 20 or 30 minutes, maybe an hour a day, you may want to rethink taking on this scope of a project, because if I only had an hour to work on this, I mean, it would literally have probably taken me close to 2 weeks, maybe 3, just to get all of those blocks chiseled and placed into the builder, doing it an hour at a time. You know, so again, you know, just keep that kind of stuff in mind when you guys are planning your projects, and especially don't get discouraged. You know, because I know it can, you know, feel like you're not really getting much done, and that can get discouraging at times. But, you know, definitely keep at it, because you know, the end result, I think, is definitely worth the effort that you put into it, and the more effort that you do put into it, the greater the reward. You know, so I know that this is going to take me quite a bit of time, and I am personally more than willing to put the time into it, because once I can, for lack of a better way to put it, once I can realize my vision here, I think that the payoff is definitely going to be worth it. You know, I mean, I love playing Minecraft. I really, really do. I love it when people look at my builds and are like, "Oh man, you know, I wish I could do that kind of thing." And I think that you know, by and large, most people can do this kind of thing. I mean, of course, you know, it's you know, real easy to look at this and say, "Oh, I can copy that and do that exact thing," and that's not really what I mean. You know, I definitely hope that you know, people that are watching are kind of inspired, you know, to do a larger build. I mean, maybe not necessarily the exact same build that I'm doing, but you know, hopefully seeing that doing these kind of mega builds are actually, you know, doable. And a little of the behind the scenes for what is involved in actually making them happen might give you guys a better idea of how you need to plan. You know, so that's really my goal for doing this. And you can see, I mean, here we are 20 minutes into the video, and I've just now, I think, got that side pretty well completed. There we go, just a couple of stragglers. And I mean, you know, this is, here it is like 2 or 3 laps after I thought I was going to be done, and I'm still working on this side. You know, so this is kind of what I mean. You know, be prepared. You know, don't think that, you know, just because you have an idea for a mega build that it's going to come together, you know, super easy. You know, a lot of planning goes into this stuff, believe it or not. You know, sometimes you can kind of slap stuff together on a smaller scale. But I knew, you know, I knew building this that I was basically building a giant mob spawner, and I was going to have to do something like this. And, you know, originally I thought I might be able to get away with using these illuminating orbs, but it took... I probably spent longer just placing these few orbs than I have being able to get the entire area lit up using this little tinker stuff. So I think on this one, I'll go around the other way and just kind of start at the top and work my way down. And hopefully we'll be able to get this one done before we wrap up the episode. But I do have a lot of ideas, and it's also good to have backup plans, you know, because sometimes what we might plan to begin with ends up not being super feasible. You know, maybe, you know, you thought, well, I've got, you know, 60,000 of these blocks, so I'll be able to do the whole thing out of that block. And to be honest, some of those 60,000 blocks don't go as far as you think they will. And especially, again, when you're doing these kind of mega builds. And honestly, you know, I feel like on, as far as mega builds go, this is probably on the smaller end of the mega builds. Because I've seen some other YouTubers that have done, you know, just truly remarkable mega builds that, in my opinion, are just completely... now, what is going on here? Why, you know... I didn't run out of glowy stuff. Do I not have enough? Oh, there it goes. So why does it... Is it not a low enough light level here? That's interesting. And, you know, see, this is what I mean. You know, this is some of the stuff that we kind of run into. Now, why? That is really interesting. Not really sure why it's not trying to light this up, because it should be. I mean, it might be because it's, it looks like it's daytime out there. Oh, it is. It is definitely daytime. Yeah, maybe we're too close to some other light sources? I don't know. Let's run back over to the base here and try repairing. There just may not be enough of a durability on here to place them in those higher light levels, possibly. I mean, I have run into crazier things. Well, let's get a little manual out here. I don't know if it's going to take one or two. Let's see. So we'll grab two just to be on the safe side here. And again, I have no idea if this actually is the problem. There we go. Oh, nice. It only took one. Now, so let's run back out to our base here. There we go. Now, I'm wondering if it has to be in the red. I mean, that may be what's going on. And I'm definitely getting... So that's interesting. There may be little areas here where I have to do something a little bit different. I mean, mobs won't necessarily spawn here. They will during the nighttime, though. So I might just have to live with that for now. Let's come down to here-ish, maybe. Yeah, it's just not lighting up. So I may have to come back and do some of this at nighttime. I mean, some of this will definitely be able to get lit up. So I'm not going to stop trying to get this stuff lit up. But I definitely, at this level, basically, there's nothing that they can spawn on above me. So I'm not lighting up the ceiling. Because that's not going to have any bearing on whether or not mobs can spawn up here. I do think it's a little interesting that it's not letting me light up those orangish areas, especially since I didn't seem to have any trouble on the other side. But again, that may have been simply because it was nighttime, and those spots are a little more dangerous at night, of course. Let's see. We're getting there. We might actually get the vast majority of this lit up before the end of the episode today. But I think it has already made a significant difference in the number of which is great. I'd love to be able to finish this up in peace, basically. Was that a spider? Yep. Nice. Are we getting there? Yep, we're back to the orangest parts. And again, I'm not really sure. I'm honestly not even sure why those little bits here are orange. I don't think it's because of the glowstone. And I don't have anything up above here. So that's an interesting little conundrum there. But hopefully we'll be able to get the rest of this lit up where we can get it lit up at least. And then, I'll probably come back after the episode is over, because I have a feeling that lighting this up is going to take us to the end of today's episode. But I definitely wanted you guys, just to get a feel for how long this kind of stuff takes. Because again, I think sometimes we get a skewed vision, or a vision that's not really representative of how much time goes into this stuff. So again, if you're one of those people that maybe you're busy at work, you have a family, maybe you're in school, you got a lot of homework. I know, it's Christmas break time while I'm recording this particular episode. So maybe if you are on a Christmas break, where you have a little bit more time, maybe that's when it's time to look into doing these kind of builds. Because I know a lot of times, if I go a day or two, excuse me, if I go a day or two without logging in and keeping myself straight and remembering what I was doing, it's a lot harder for me to get kind of back into it because I don't remember what I was doing. I don't remember my thought process. Maybe I forgot the block palette that I was planning on using. There's just all kinds of things that you forget. If you don't get to play, every day, or maybe you do get to play every day, but it's not for very long. So again, that's really why I'm making an episode showing you guys stuff that I normally wouldn't include in an episode, because honestly, I think watching me go in circles is probably pretty boring. And even if you don't watch the whole episode, maybe you're kind of skipping through it, I think you'll still kind of get a better idea of how much time really goes into this stuff. It's just my little way of, trying to help people plan their time a little bit better. This is not, maybe it's finals week, or you've got, the big giant project due at work. That is not the time to undertake one of these mega builds. It really isn't. And again, I can't stress this enough. I'm in no way trying to discourage people from taking on these mega builds, but definitely be aware of how much time it takes, so you can actually plan your time out. Maybe you're lucky like I am, and you get to play on a server where if you want to take on something massive, you can get your server mates to kind of help you out with it. On our server, obviously one person can't really do everything. Maybe for instance, I'm not the biggest fan of bees. I can do them. It's not that I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I just personally don't find the breeding terribly interesting. And again, I don't have a problem with people that do. I can see how it could be interesting. That's not the problem. I feel that I'm more interested in the machines and generating electricity, and occasionally I'll get into something like this where I'm building myself basically a giant headquarters, which I do enjoy. But like I said, the chances of me really getting into bees much further than for the sake of the audience to introduce them to the mechanics, it's probably not something I'm going to do. So one of my other server mates, Naga, who does enjoy doing bees, has a rather elaborate setup with industry and bee breeding, and so if I do need something that requires a little bit more, having gotten more in depth into the bees, I can trade with Naga. I can ask him, what were the steps involved if I do want to try to set up my own kind of system to automate the collection of a particular resource. And that's another way to go about doing this kind of stuff. But by and large, you can see I've been, we're a little over 30 minutes into this video now, and it has been 30 minutes of me basically lighting this area up, which I think it might be nighttime. It is, so hopefully we'll be able to get to these last little bits now that it's nighttime. But I would really love to have this all lit up by the end of the episode. And I can't even imagine how people doing the vanilla Minecraft, no mods, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine them trying to build a structure like this, let alone lighting it up. Man, that would take hours just to light it up. Again, I feel like I'm getting this done rather quickly, mainly because I'm not having to stop and place a torch, run a little bit, stop and place a torch. Again, this is all thanks to mods that I'm able to get this done in any kind of what I would call a reasonable amount of time. Because I have a little bit more time than most, I think, to spend working on this stuff. But I don't want to sit here for 4 or 5 hours doing nothing but placing torches. That I think is just a little bit much. I mean, I guess I would, but there's no way I could just sit here for 4 or 5 hours straight doing nothing but placing torches. I think I would drive myself a little batty doing that. But man, we are almost there. I'm just kind of at this point looking for those little red spots. And this is something else that is a little rougher, I think, for our vanilla Minecraft cousins. They basically have to bring up that F3 menu and look for the light level. It's kind of on the left side, roughly halfway down, not quite halfway down. But that it does point to what the light levels are. So if they really want to be sure that they've got enough torches placed, that's what they've got to do. They've got to sit there and hit that F3 button and basically pay attention to that as they're moving around. And again, I mean, just adds another level of complexity. So I'm really glad that we've got access to all these mods to kind of help us get this stuff done in a reasonable time frame. Because there's no way, like playing vanilla, there's no way that I could have done all of this and placed light sources in real time in the course of a single episode. I have seen quite a few YouTubers that play vanilla Minecraft. Nothing but respect for those guys. They are totally awesome. But in order for them to get this condensed, if they wanted to show the actual work they did, to get this all done in a 30 to 40 minute episode, they would have to speed up the video, basically. And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I don't, the main reason that I've been showing all this is we've been going for almost 40 minutes now. And that's about how long it took. I think there's a few little areas here left that I'm just kind of double checking. Is that what we've got in here? Maybe it's raining outside. I'm going to do another quick fly around here, but I think we might finally be done getting this temporarily lit up. And again, I may just go ahead and leave these keepers glow balls and just kind of remove them if they get in my way. Because man, that would definitely take much longer to go around and try to remove every single one. And honestly, I don't think they're that noticeable. And they're even less noticeable once you've got, I think, just about there. So that is, I'm pretty pleased with that. I think we've got a few little trouble spots here on the floor. Let's do another little run around here on the floor. Did that get it? Nice. Nice. Let's see, I've pretty much got my block palette picked out. I do plan on having several windows. I will more than likely, well, it is a window, so I will more than likely be decorating. I'll kind of pop these out a little bit, just to give you an idea. We'll probably do something like this. sill appearance. You know, just to give it, maybe something like that. Just to give it a little bit of depth. That's not terrible. Maybe something like that. And of course, you know, checking to make sure the light levels are good up there. Let's see. Maybe something like that. You know, nothing super fancy, but you know, just a little bit to give it some depth. Maybe something like that. There we go. Like, no, that's not horrible. You know, just little touches here and there to, you know, kind of give the place a little bit of depth. Maybe go like this. Oh yeah, yeah, I think that's nice. Yeah, you know, little things like that, so it doesn't look like we're, you know, just flush everywhere. That's kind of why I went with this donut shape, because I mean, you can see all the different depth. That's just naturally built into this shape. You know, so I think we've successfully got this all lit up. So basically what I'm going to do is... I think that's good. You know, like, and then other things, let's see if we can do this one. I think maybe... Can I get some? Normally, a lot of you that watch me play see me use the dark glass, and I think here I just want to use some plain old regular ethereal glass. I think that'll add a nice touch. It'll help keep the mobs out. We'll be able to pass through. They will not. I don't know if I'm going to stay with the ethereal glass. I may go with ineffable glass. Instead, it does basically the same thing, but that's not horrible. Now that'll let us walk in and out. I think that might be good. I think I'm safe to shut that off for now. And I'm pretty sure that this little pattern I came up with here basically will help me keep the second floor lit up. And I'll probably come up with some kind of an elevator system. And I did find what totally by pure chance, the glowstone here is also can be chiseled into these gray bricks. So I think that'll give us a nice kind of an edge, I think, for, you know, keeping the walls in here lit up, and hopefully this glowing glass here. Now I haven't decided. I may give this some kind of a border. And I'm trying to end the episode and I'm still trying to do stuff. It's always so much fun for me to do this kind of stuff. But I think I may want to do something along these lines. And just add a little bit more depth. But I think it looks so much better when there is depth involved. And that I think is a fairly common sentiment that I share with a lot of the vanilla Minecrafters. Let's just take a look. I think that's going to work out pretty good. And now the other thing I've been considering too is I may use the block craftery a little bit more and see if I can't get some slopes in there. Maybe get that diagonal. But I think that is going to be really, really nice. Really, really nice. I may even be able, you know, to set up some elevators. I'm thinking like right around in here might be a good idea for elevators. Because I'm thinking that down here, you know, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm thinking I may want to end up bringing over more of my base than I had originally planned. What is this? And then we've got little pieces like this that I'll need to go around and repair. But overall, I think we did a really good job. I think we did a really good job with the positioning of this. But I knew I was going to have to take some of these trees out. There we go. Nice. Always something. Do I have any more of that granite? I do. Nice. I just need one more piece here. There we go. So I think now that we're all nice and lit up and secure, that this is a good spot to end today's episode. Hopefully in the next episode when we come back, I'll have the split level design completely done. So until then, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for stopping by today, and take care.